The Renters' Rights Act is here. Hooray! I want to show you an AI tool that you should be using above and over and beyond ChatGPT to do anything to do with the Renters' Rights Act, whether that's creating new materials, understanding it, training your team on it. And the reason I want you to use this instead of ChatGPT is because of the differences in the way the two platforms work. ChatGPT basically has learned billions of gigabytes of data that go back decades and centuries, incorporating previous versions of the Renters Reform Bill, the Renters Rights Bill, which has obviously changed over time. So it's quite possible that if you just ask ChatGPT a question about the Renters Rights Act, it will refer to now outdated information. Well, the way to resolve that is by using Google Notebook, but that's not the only reason. The other reason is because Google Notebook also has some fantastic features which I think you're going to find really useful. So let me quickly show you how it works and what these features are. Let's switch these screens around. I love doing that, like anyone actually thinks that me clicking my fingers has anything to do with what happened on the screen just then. But hey, we still do it because it's fun, right? So here we go. I have Google Notebook on my screen in front of me, as you can see. Now, to create a new project in Google Notebook, they're called notebooks. You just create new, and you can load a document in here. And what I'm suggesting that you load in here is the actual final PDF version of the Renters' Rights Act that you can download off the government website. And if you use this document by loading it into Google Notebook, it is then going to base everything that it creates for you on that one source. No back catalogue of historic learnings. Everything is based on that one PDF document that you upload. So you can be very confident that it's going to be correct in what it produces for you. Now, it takes a few minutes to process that, so I'm going to show you one that I made earlier. So here we go. You can see here my source over here is the PDF of the Renters' Rights Act, the very final version of it. It's got a small summary here in the middle of the screen, but what I really want to draw your attention to are the options over here on the right hand side, where you've got some really handy tools. One of my favorite ones here is the audio overview. Now, this is essentially like creating a custom podcast, and there's various settings here, how you can customize it. You can change the style of the audio overview. You can give it specific instructions on what to focus on. So I want to focus on impact on landlords or impact on tenants. And you can set the length for shorter, longer. And when you click generate, it then creates an audio overview that you can download, listen to on your commute, on your walk into work. Let's have a quick listen.
Okay, let's unpack this. We've got a massive stack of legislative sources here, all focusing on the rental market, and really it's almost entirely centered on this, well, Revolutionary Renters' Rights Act.
And you get this back and forth between two hosts, and they will pick through the contents of that source material and discuss it. But a really smart feature that's recently been added to Google Notebook is the ability to make this interactive. Have a little watch of this.
Okay, let's unpack this. We've got a massive stack. Oh, hey, our listener wants to join in. What's up?
Hi guys, so I wondered if you could just focus really detailed on one aspect of this act that I don't fully understand, which is actually what's changed in terms of new notice periods that landlords and tenants now have to serve under this act.
Hi, welcome back. That is an absolutely fantastic question.
Yeah, that is a core operational detail.
And you've hit on something that really changed fundamentally.
Okay, let's unpack this right now.
Absolutely. The notice periods are completely revised under this act.
And so they will now respond. So I was basically a caller into their radio show there, which is very cool. And I know they're a bit cheesy, Janet and John there, but it's fantastic being able to actually involve yourself in the conversation. So just in terms of understanding the contents of the Act, a really helpful tool there. There's also a video overview here, which is similar, but presents it in a visual way. They're usually shorter, the video overviews, at about 5 minutes long. I'll give you a quick preview of one. Here you go.
Kick things off with a huge one, pets. For years, as you probably know, finding a rental that allows pets has been a massive headache, right? Landlords could just have a blanket, no pets ban, and that was that. Well, that's changed.
So there you go, it talks you through the contents of the bill with some handy visual guides. Great if you're a visual learner. Going through these options now, we've got flashcards and quiz. So this is great. We've gone from comprehension now to testing our knowledge. Flashcards are obviously going to help us to memorize the contents of the bill. Let's have a quick look at them. So you can see now it's given me a bit of a question on the front there. I can click it and it flicks it over and shows me the answer. And I can go through, I've got a set of 89 flashcards that it's created there for me. Again, perfect to help you and your team to understand the contents of this act. Now the next one is a multiple choice quiz. Again, for the same purpose, absolutely fantastic to help test your comprehension of the quiz. So you can go through, there's in this instance 10 multiple choice questions. If you choose the wrong answer, it will show you the right one and tell you more about what you need to know. Now you might be looking at this and thinking that's quite fundamentally different from how I use ChatGPT, which I use to write blogs, emails, information pamphlets to give to my clients. Well, Google Notebook can do that as well, and they're in this section called Reports. So you'll see on the screen that's loaded here, there's 4 default options that I can choose to create: a study guide, a blog post, enter my own prompt, and it's also analysed the document and suggested 4 other documents which it thinks that suit this format quite nicely. So a policy briefing, legislative summary, explanatory notes. So I can go ahead and create one of these now. I'll choose a blog post because that's probably one that you're quite likely to want to make. Now, the one thing that I would say about Google Notebook is that it is not as good at the written word as, say, ChatGPT. So here's one that is created, and yes, it's got some Americanisms in there and things like that. It's not quite as eloquent and good at writing as ChatGPT. So what I would do to make sure that my blogs are factually correct is I would create the base blog in Google Notebook. I almost forgot what it was called then. I'll create the base blog in Google Notebook, copy and paste that over to ChatGPT, which I've trained to write in the style that I really want it to, and it's got my tone of voice, and I get it to rewrite that blog to sound like me. So use 2 in tandem, just so you can have the stylistic benefits of ChatGPT, but Google Notebook to make sure that you're factually correct in what you're saying in your blog. So there we go, Google Notebook has some really helpful tools which I think are particularly relevant to challenges such as the Renters' Rights Act in comprehending it, testing your knowledge of it, and creating materials around it, whilst making sure that what you're writing is actually correct.